Hi, I'm Kesenya and welcome to Guiding Star Astrology. Thanks for joining me for this week's Astro Weather Report. So firstly, I want to say a massive big thank you to all the dear wonderful people who contacted me to tell me that they missed my weather reports and where was I, and that was just so lovely to receive that affirmation and support. I have been ill for about 4 to 5 weeks now, and it's affected. I've had a bad cough, so I haven't been able to do readings, haven't been able to do videos. Fortunately, I had a few videos pre-prepared that I was able to use for my channel, but I haven't been very well, and so it's taken me a while to recover and get back on top of everything, but I am back now, and it's a great week to be back with you actually as well, because there's a lot of exciting things happening in the sky. In fact, one thing in particular that I am thrilled about and been looking forward to since July actually, and we'll talk about what that is in a minute and how it will affect all signs. But before we get stuck into the juicy bits, I do want to just say Christmas is only 9 weeks away, guys. And so in preparation for that, I just wanted to let people know I am offering my Astro Wheel, the smaller little version of this guy. I'm offering it for $50 off in time for Christmas, but this is only going to be running for about 3 weeks because obviously I'll have to get things made and packaged up and posted to get to you in time for Christmas. So for the next 3 weeks, my Astro Wheel is $50 off. It makes a wonderful gift. So contact me through the contact page if you are interested in purchasing a Astro Wheel. Also, I'm going to be offering gift vouchers as well, because astrology readings are a wonderful gift to give someone who has everything in life and perhaps might be looking for some answers about things. So if you have a friend or a loved one or even just yourself who would benefit from an astrology reading this Christmas, then by all means get in touch with me and I can post you out a voucher that will give you the access to an astrology reading as a gift, so a gift voucher. So that's my preparation for Christmas, but get in quick because it's coming up faster than we can imagine. I'm not ready. I haven't done my Santa shopping yet at all. So now we're going to get stuck into the skies. We're going to explore what's happening, and there are 3 major important events unfolding in this week's Astro Weather. And the first one is simply that the lovely little sun, actually down here, the sun moving out of Libra and into the sign of Scorpio, where he will be for the next 30 days. And this is happening on the 24th of October. This is when the sun is going to change signs. Excuse me, I'm still getting over my thing. But we can expect that now when the sun goes into Scorpio, we're all going to feel a bit more depth, a bit more intensity, even a bit more passion actually, and illumination, because wherever the sun goes, he illuminates, he makes things brighter, he reveals hidden things. Especially in Scorpio, the sun will be shining his light onto some hidden things. Some darkness within will receive some illumination from the sun's presence in the sign of Scorpio over the next 30 days. So this is quite an exciting time, and it's coming on the heels of 30 days of rebalancing things that are out of whack while the sun was in Libra. I've certainly noticed that. Obviously, I got ill, and then I've had to, get back in balance. And it's caused me to reassess what I do with my work, how I work, and strategies to avoid getting burnt out that leads me to have these bouts of sickness because I just don't take time for myself and need to slow down a bit. So there's been an element for me, but also for all my friends and clients that I speak to, of needing to put something back into balance, something back into harmony while the sun has been in Libra. That has been illuminated for us in our life. We have realized, oh my God, I'm out of balance, I'm working too hard, I don't take any time out for myself, or whatever the situation might be a situation with a relationship, might be a situation with a boss, or might be a situation in the home life or family life. Something has needed to get back into balance while the sun was in the sign of Libra. And then it's going to be all about developing passion and intensity, getting to the nitty gritty, to the core of things, and illuminating stuff that we are keeping hidden. So you can expect that this coming month is going to reveal a lot of new things in your life. You are going to get a lot of deep insights, maybe lots of aha moments, and things will be exposed that you didn't even realize were actually present within you. Now, this could be stuff from past lives, stuff from childhood. It could be things that you've denied in yourself that need to be addressed. And especially as we prepare, and this is going to be coming up a lot in a lot of astrological forecasts over the next couple of months, as we prepare for the conjunction of Pluto and Saturn in Capricorn, this is important. What Scorpio is representing is very much the nature of what we're going to have to address when this conjunction occurs in January. And namely, that is what is deep hidden within us that needs to be illuminated, that needs to be brought to our conscious awareness so that we can release it, so that we can purge it and begin afresh after January. So now the sun is calling us to do this. It's a really great time to get into work that looks deep within, that looks into your soul and sees what's there and what needs to go, what needs to be cleared out, what cobwebs need to be swept away. So we can prepare for that, and this is, as I said, going to be coming about on the 24th of October. We're going to move into that realm with the sun. So that's exciting, something to look forward to. And right now, as I speak, we have little old Mars at 11 degrees. Everything's a little old today. What is with me in that? Not so little. We have Mars sitting in the sign of Libra at 11 degrees. And because Mars is at 11 degrees, he will be making a square to the south node of the moon. Sorry, that's the north node of the moon, and a square to the south node of the moon, creating a T-square. So let me draw that up for you so you know what a T-square looks like and how it represents in the chart. So we've got a square there, and an opposition. Obviously, the nodes are always in opposition to one another, but that's how it looks. There is our T-square. Now, this creates a lot of tension in life. A T-square, if you've got it in your chart, it'll be represented, say, on astro.com with red lines that look like that make that triangle. And what it represents is this tension in us, this inner, not anxiety, but inner frustration that often pushes us to achieve a lot in life, to overcome, to, put out like a rugby scrum, our head down, and we're in, with full force to try and push ahead in life and make changes. But it's hard work. In the Vedic system of astrology, this configuration is considered to be very activating and good for material realization. So what that means is your outer world reality can be affected in usually quite a positive way if you work well with the energy of the T-square. If you put your effort in, if you pay attention to the frustration within you and act upon that accordingly, you can materialize a lot of success in life, a lot of accomplishment, because this will force you into action. Now, if this was compared to, say, something like a grand trine, which is sort of like, yeah, whatever, life comes easy for me, and I just do something and it happens, and I don't need to make big effort because it'll just come my way. That's not quite so activating as when you're in the rugby scrum pushing ahead, trying to get life to work for you. You will put more energy and drive through the tension into what you're trying to achieve. What are we trying to achieve with this at the moment in the week ahead as a collective and as individuals? Well, it very much correlates to our past and our future. Again, very much about seeing what needs to be gotten rid of and moving ahead with what is in store in our destiny. The South Node is releasing the past, letting go of. It represents to move away from and to leave behind, because we've dealt with, we've done stuff. We've had that too long in our lives, or things have been focused in that direction for just way too long, and now we want to move into something new, something fresh, and begin something that we haven't experienced before often. So this is the North Node energy. So this is what's playing out here. We've got a tension about our past in order to be able to move into our future. In mythology as well, the the North Node and the South Node were represented by a dragon or some sort of reptilian that has been cut in half, and the South Node is where the tail is, and it's excreting, getting rid of, pooing out, sending things away. And the North Node is this insatiable, I've got to eat, I want more, I'm hungry, kind of energy. Carl Jung said, "He who cannot love cannot transform the serpent, and then nothing is changed." So I love this quote by Carl Jung. He's brilliant. But what he's saying, if I apply that to this astrological mythology, is that you must love, you must desire, you must have passion for the future in order to make change. So the serpent, and this is not what Carl Jung was on about, but it does apply to this astrological mythology of the serpent. In order to transform the serpent, in order to move ahead, in order to bring change and progress to life, we need to have desire, we need to love, or else nothing will be changed. We will stay stuck in our south node. So listen into what you desire, listen into what your heart loves, what your heart longs for over the week ahead, and you will be able to make change in your life with your attitudes, your beliefs, and your practices and what you undertake in order to move ahead into the future. And remember, it's a T-square, so there might be tension involved. Also, Mars. Mars is involved, so this is important. Now, Mars energy is enthusiasm, it's passion, it's courage, it's a fighting spirit. It's also frustration and irritation. Thanks, Mars. So we can expect that with this energy playing out today and for the next couple of days, that there will be within us maybe a fight regarding being able to release the past and embrace the future. Mars connecting to the past and connecting to the future in this way. Maybe we can expect that there's a need for courage now. We've got to really dig deep and draw on our own courage as we move towards what's unfamiliar, what we don't know, where we've never been before. North Node is new things, new stuff, energy we're not familiar with. So the North Node's the energy of Mars is saying we've got to get courage about this. We've got to be brave, we've got to be strong, we've got to be courageous. There's an intensified desire. Mars is the planet of desire, and the North Node is representative of desire as well, as where what we love, what we long for. I'm not talking about love in the sort of the airy-fairy sense here, or the sort of intimate connection and going with the flow and everything is beautiful. And I'm talking about what you crave, that sort of what you long for here with the North Node. Excuse me. There's an intensified, Mars is intense, so is the North Node, an intensified desire to change whatever is out of balance in our life. And of course, this is coming as the Sun begins to leave his little workshop in Libra for this year. That's kind of tying into this because Mars is in Libra, this sign of rebalancing, reharmonizing. So Mars is going to intensify our desire to bring back into balance what is out of balance. And this may very well correlate to something from your past balancing out with something from your future. So say you might have an old lover come back into your life, or an ex-husband or something who's stirring things up, and in doing so he's creating this intensity, and we're like, oh man, I just want to get away from everything that represents, that relationship from long ago. I want to move away from it, and I want to move towards a better thing in the future now. And so we have this desire to balance that out by creating a better future for ourselves, this intensified desire to create more balance and harmony, to leave the past and get the future happening, to sort of reconcile with the past and to move actively towards the future. Mars is action. So there's going to be action taking place actually in letting go of the past. You will take action to release that old partner, that ex-husband that's driving you bonkers, and take action towards creating something better in the future for yourself as well with this energy. So it can be very helpful to have this energized work of Mars happening regarding the past and the future for us. Mars is also going to give us the energy that we need. Not only the intensified desire, but the energy, the enthusiasm, the drive, and the impetus. He's a self-starter, Mars. He's an initiator. So he's going to give us what we need to initiate change, to drive towards change. And this is going to be coming from within us. we're going to have this drive, this initiation, this energy to make the necessary changes in order to embrace our future. So once again, we've got the sun moving into Scorpio. We've got this activation occurring here. It is preparing us again for this massive energy that's happening in January. It's calling us. We're being called by the stars, by the universe, to do the work of releasing what does not support us, so that when this happens in January, we just flow with it. If we resist what we're being called to do, if we resist the releasing of this energy, the releasing of the past in order to embrace the future, if we resist doing that, if we stay stuck where we are and we dig in our heels and we get really stubborn and refuse to change, this is going to be hell. So if you want to deal with this coming energy, Pluto-Saturn conjunction, in the healthiest, most effective way with as much ease as you can create, do the work now, so that when this happens, it doesn't rip this old habit out of your life in a way that is painful and difficult. You release it now, it's got nothing to have to rip out of your life when this conjunction occurs in January. Heads up. Now, as I said, Mars is frustration and irritation. So this process, excuse me, that we're going through to heal this, to release the past and embrace the future, this is not going to come without a good dollop of frustration and irritation, because it's a hard aspect from Mars to these points in the sky, the nodes. So you can expect that it's not going to be easy, and you will have to be in the rugby scrum, pushing ahead to make things happen. But in the little piece I'll do for all signs, I'll talk about remedies to help ease the frustration, to help ease the irritation that might pop up during the week ahead with this. So the final energy that I want to talk about that's coming up is and it's going to swiftly follow this actually as well. This is the piece de resistance. This is where we get activation of the eclipse energy from July. I've been looking forward to this since July actually, because I have personal planets around 10 degrees down here of Cancer where the eclipse took place. Now, for those who want to know, the eclipse took place at 10 degrees of Cancer, and the nodes at that time were at around 17 degrees of Cancer and Capricorn. And so it's taken all this period of time. So we had I'll just explain, sorry. We had the sun and the moon joining together here at 10 degrees. They created a new moon, and they were in such close proximity to the nodes that it created the eclipse. That's how an eclipse works. It's with a full moon or a new moon being in proximity to the nodes of the moon that causes an eclipse. So this occurred at 10 degrees. We had a new moon and sun conjunction at 10 degrees. It has taken this whole time since July 3rd, it's taken until now, and it's happening on the 27th of October, for the node to move from 17 degrees down to 10 degrees. And on the 27th of October is when the node is going to hit that 10 degree point. We will see the activation of whatever was promised through the eclipse in July. Now, if you've got personal planets within, say, 2 or 3 degrees of 10 degrees of Cancer, also 10 degrees of Libra, 10 degrees of Aries, and 10 degrees of Capricorn, if you have personal planets there, your sun, your moon, your Jupiter, your Venus, whatever, at around about 10 degrees of any of these signs on these axes, you can expect that the node moving over this point is triggering something very significant for you as a result of the eclipse. So, I mean, let's say it's Venus, and Venus happens to rule your 5th house. Something might happen with your children. 5th house is children. And that could be really positive. Maybe your child will get an award or something, or that one of your children will have a chance to win a scholarship, something like that. Excuse me. Or it could be that, your child is going through some particular difficulties and loses their friendship group or something. I mean, eclipses and what they bring us, it's really hard to predict exactly what will happen. It's only in retrospect we look and go, oh yeah, okay, Venus rules my house of children. Yep, that's what happened. And my kids went through this particular circumstance. Thanks, eclipse. And you can see why. But in predicting prior to the event, it's really difficult. However, we know that planets rule certain areas of our chart, if you're familiar with astrology, and you can make sort of a guesstimate, if you like, that realm, that the planet, if it's within a couple of degrees of this 10-degree point, the things that planet, sorry, excuse me, the things that planet happens to rule in your chart, personally for you, will be where the activation is taking place. For me, I've got Saturn, which rules my 11th house and 12th house. So he's at 11 degrees, he's getting activated. So it's likely that rewards and gains or friendship circles, something happening with my friends, maybe even some sort of loss from the 12th house or some sort of spiritual enlightenment or healing, even 12th house stuff, might be what manifests for me as a result of the eclipse, with my Saturn down there within proximity of the eclipse manifestation point. Hope you're following me here with how this works. But for all of us, we can expect that on the 27th of October, there will be something, even if you don't have planets in this realm, you will probably see some sort of shift. It might be just a general shift. It might be sort of a ho-hum. You mightn't even consciously be aware of it, but there will be some sort of energetic shift that unfolds around the 27th of October for most people in the world. And it will correlate to the house axis that Cancer is. So just say your Aries rising, Cancer is your 4th house. Here's Aries rising, Cancer is the 4th house. Sorry guys about my coughing. Cancer is the 4th house. So if this is your chart, your Aries rising, then it's likely that the eclipse will be correlating to something to do with your home. So, you know, if you've got no planets around that 10-degree mark for activation, maybe it might just mean that on the 27th of October, you have some sort of hospitality happening in your home, a big party, some friends coming around, and you all hang out together and have a really great time. It could be something as sort of non-impactful as that. Usually we see the biggest impacts happen to people who've got planets around these points in the chart. So if you do, just know you can expect that there'll be some sort of activation of significance occurring in your life. If you don't have planets at any of these points, then the activation will be less noticeable and it will pack less of a punch. So guys, look to where Cancer is in your chart, what house Cancer rules in your chart. I'm not going to talk about this in all the signs rundown that I'm about to do. So, look to where Cancer is in your chart. If you're familiar with astrology and you know what that particular house means, then you can expect that you probably will get some sort of activation in the house that Cancer rules. All right, let's do a look at all signs and what will be playing out. And I'm looking at the energy of this T-square and the remedies that are available for this T-square. So we'll start, excuse me. We will start with Aries rising, because I know you guys like to go first. If you're Aries rising, then the frustration and intensity brought on by Mars might be occurring with relationships. This can be business partnerships. It can be someone that you're collaborating with to create money. It can be also a marriage relationship. But the 7th house is also connected to our clients and our client relationships. So you might be feeling some sort of difficulty with clients or some sort of frustration with clients if you're Aries rising this week as a result of this configuration. Forgive me for my coughing, I'm sorry. There can be frustration there. The eclipse trigger point will be manifesting your house of home and family, so relationships with your mother, relationships with your maternal lineage, or the community that you come from might be get an activation in some sort of way because of the eclipse. And the remedies for dealing with the tension and frustration that Mars might be bringing you this week in that realm. Mars will be also energizing your 10th house and your 4th house, so there can be perhaps a bit of conflict regarding the career life that you have or your worldly achievements and your desire to be in the home environment and to work from home maybe, or to have more connection with family in some way, and this can feel frustrating for you. The way out of this, the way to cope with this, is to concentrate on what you need, focus on yourself, focus on your body and your body's health. So take care of you this week. You might like to, start going jogging or something. You might like to take up some sort of new sport and expel the frustrated energy that way, maybe doing a bit of kickboxing or something like that. Start something new, perhaps start a new art project if you're that way inclined, or start a new book or a new novel. Start by starting something is a good way to sort of help redirect this restless, frustrated energy that's being brought on by the T-square here. So start something, do some sort of intense physical exercise, and focus on what you need. Focus on your individuality, focus on your uniqueness, and creating your own identity in the world. So that might mean doing a bit of, looking at some self-help books, doing a bit of introspective work, coming to know yourself better, taking time out for you, honoring your needs above what other people are demanding of you right now. By doing these sorts of things, you can dissipate the frustrated energy of Mars for a little bit. All right, if you happen to be Taurus rising, Taurus rising, this energy is going to be falling in, Mars will be in your 6th house, and the eclipses are in your 3rd house and your 9th house. So how does this play out for you guys? Well, there might be an energy of frustration and tension for you coming from your employees, people that you employ. It could also be that some enemy pops up in your life, someone who just has it in for you and makes life really difficult and really hard. They might pop up and cause a bit of tension and frustration. And because of that person and or maybe some sort of circumstance such as difficulties with money and bills, bit of like poverty consciousness, excuse me, or maybe even your health. Your health might be a bit precarious. You might cut yourself or burn yourself or fall over, break something. That's Mars energy in the 6th house, I'm afraid. So for you guys who are Taurus rising, be really conscious of that. Doesn't mean that you are going to have health issues. It might manifest in another way, but that is one of the ways it could play out. But whatever occurs in that realm, the 6th house realm, it's going to be correlated to somehow releasing the past and rising into the future, this T-square. And for you guys, this is going to be connected to teaching, learning, writing, speaking, or publishing. Now I'll just give a scenario here. Say you are, you've got a small business, you employ a couple of people, and maybe you're in marketing or advertising and you're running a new campaign and you've done it a certain way forever and ever, and your employees want to keep doing it that way, and you're like, no, we're going to move progressively into the future and start doing it this way, whatever that looks like. And so there's a bit of tension with employees and subordinates about doing things the old ways regarding publishing, marketing, speaking, writing, teaching, whatever realm. There's a bit of tension with your employees about how you've always done it compared to where you want to go with this, what you want it to look like. So this is the tension that might arise. That's just one illustration, and there are many ways that this can play out. That's just one. Maybe an enemy comes into your life, someone who's really like a competitor, or somebody who's really, had the knife out for you for ages. And regarding it can also be social media or internet as well in the 3rd house. So maybe there's some sort of enemy, harassing you on social media. You're trying to teach and share knowledge and wisdom and insight up here in the 9th house. And maybe you need to change your approach to that in order to get rid of this enemy who keeps cropping up on social media and leaving shitty comments on your YouTube channel or whatever. And so you can progress into a new way of doing things with your social media and your YouTube presence or whatever down here in the third house, which is connected to social media. So something needs to be changed with how you're doing things to get rid of this enemy, and so you can progress into your future. There's two scenarios. I mean, I could sit here all day making scenarios for every sign. I can't cover every possible combination of how this might play out, but that is a couple of them. So you get the picture, you get the general gist. How do we alleviate this tension? Where can we focus our energy in order to get rid of this tension? Well, we focus on our spiritual life. For you guys, for Taurus rising, you focus on your spiritual connection to spirit. Maybe meditating every morning will really help. Maybe getting back into your yoga practice to find balance, to find harmony in all this tension. Maybe, praying, going on walks where you communicate with spirit and you talk to spirit while you go for a walk. Getting, maybe even putting on some very ethereal type of music, some soulful kinds of music that might really take you out of that tension and frustration now. That's another thing you can do. Doing things like maybe you might even like to take the opportunity to dress up and put on sort of a visible mask that can help you sort of step out of that persona of dealing with difficult work people or difficult enemies and so forth. So what I mean by that is dress up, put your party dress on, and go out and have a good time. Pretend that is actually one of the remedies for this, to pretend to be in a different place. It's a form of escapism. And indeed, going to day spas, having your nails done, doing some sort of removal from the situation is going to be really beneficial for you guys this week if you're Taurus rising and you're feeling this tension. Okay, so if you happen to be Gemini rising, this energy is happening for you in the 5th house. Mars is in the 5th house, and you've got the south node up here in the 8th and the north node down here in the 2nd. So the tension for you guys, the frustration, can be coming from maybe your children. Maybe your children are driving you bonkers and you're tearing your hair out trying to deal with, all the end of year activities that are happening and, school plays that are on and winding up of sports events, and you're down to the final competition of all your sports events. That's the case in Australia anyway. That's we're heading towards the end of the year here. And so there's this frustration and tension with, all I've got to do for my kids right now, it's just driving me insane. Or it might be to do with lovers. Maybe there's some tension coming from some lovers, some people that you are in a love relationship with who are actually pushing your buttons right now. Mars in the 5th house can be causing frustration there. And through this, there might be some sort of attitude and belief that you keep defaulting back to. South node. You keep defaulting back to, that's causing crisis in your life. 8th house is crisis. It is upheaval. It is challenge and problems. Underworld type experiences as seen by the 8th house. So through the tension with your lovers and children, you might discover some sort of attitude or belief in you that's causing you continued crisis in life. And you realize, hey, I've got to stop thinking like that, or else I'm never going to move ahead with my children, with my lovers. I've got to actually start to tackle things from a very different attitudinal perspective, because I just seem to be causing more and more problems through my belief systems here, my attitudes and my behavior. It's causing crisis. So this tension of Mars might cause you to discover something like that about yourself, because the 8th house is also connected to therapy and inner work and inner revelations about ourselves. We often discover those things through crisis events, but that can lead you to that form of self-discovery and then help you rise into your destiny. The destiny in this case is very much 2nd house. Self-love is the 2nd house. You might learn to love yourself better because of this discovery, and then that will in turn help you with the future relationship that you have with your children and with your lovers. But this is going to come through a period of tension. This self-discovery and this self-therapy is going to come through a period of tension with children and with lovers. And so how do we deal with this in a way that supports us? How do we manage it this week and cope with it this week? Well, we focus on connection with friendship, with our friends, going out and having a coffee with a girlfriend, maybe a fellow mum or a fellow dad, and you're like, oh, my kids, this is happening, that's happening, and I don't know how to deal with it. And you have a good old chat over a cup of coffee, doing something social, connecting with your friendship groups. This could be just what you need to cope. And so this is a remedy this week. Excuse me, for coping with the energies of this week. It might also mean going and getting involved in some sort of club or group or organization where you can maybe it's a sporting organization. You go and dispel the frustrated energy through doing some sort of sport in a group or a club with a team. It could be, focusing your energy on to say some humanitarian work that takes your attention away from all this stuff happening down here, and you can for a while let it go, which helps support you and refresh you as you go back to your situation and deal with it with a fresh mind. Focusing on your dreams, focusing on your goals right now, doing some work towards that end can also help alleviate the pressure that you might be feeling with regard to family. No, not so much family, children and lovers. All right, so if you happen to be Cancer rising, excuse me, then the energy of Mars is sitting in your 4th house. So there can be tension and frustration related to your heritage, where you come from, your family line, the country of origin where you've come from. Tension might be with your community, in the community that you live, or it could just be in your home. You might have some problems with your home. Watch out, guys. You guys who are Cancer rising, watch out for fire, because Mars rules fire and he's in the home and he's getting this tension and activation in a pretty highly charged way to the realm of home. Watch out for issues with fire around the home, okay? Be very careful this week. So we've got some tension unfolding in the home environment with heritage roots, lineage, family, community, etc. And whatever unfolds here is actually going to energize you or draw your attention to relationship, maybe beliefs around relationship, attitudes towards relationship, your feelings about relationship, that and this can be business partners, it can be clients as well as marriage partners. So let's say there's some tension with your mother and it causes problems in your home. Oh, mum's driving me bonkers and she doesn't leave us alone, she's always putting her 2 cents in, and yada yada yada. You get tense, you get frustrated because of something that mum's doing in your life, and it causes issues with your partner, your marriage partner. So through this you've got to make a change. You're being called to address this problem that keeps cropping up time and time again with your mum. It's just an illustration. There's many ways this can play out. This is just one hypothetical. And so you are being called to address the way you always deal with your mum, because it's aggravating your partner and it's causing problems with your relationship, the way you're dealing with your mum. And if you want to move ahead with your relationship, if you want to things to progress, you've got to deal with this tension this week, and you'll have the energy to do so. But part of what you're rising up into now is also to be more autonomous, perhaps from your mother, to leave behind being too nice. To Mr. or Mrs. Nice is represented by the South Node in the 7th house, and it's an attitude and belief we have to let go of. Maybe you're always being too nice to your mum, too accommodating, too tolerant of your mum. Maybe you need to actually get a bit assertive. North Node in the 1st house, a bit more assertive, a bit more focused on what you need in order for your relationship to flourish. So you might be like, Mum, this is it. I've got to put some boundaries in place, Mum. You'll have the energy to do so. You can't keep coming around here, Mum, and interfering. We have to live our own life now. So you will put boundaries in place. You will be assertive about what you need now. you will have what it takes to rise into your destiny with regard to this issue and alleviate it out of your life in a healthy way. Don't go sort of making problems with mum, but, be assertive, put boundaries in place, and be fair to yourself. So that's one of the hypothetical ways that this T-square could be playing out. The tension is there. You've got to do something about it, not just to placate people, but to honor yourself and your destiny as an independent person out of your mum's shadow, out of your mum's wing. So this could be playing out in many, many ways. That's just one illustration. If this tension is getting too much for you this week, you'll still have to put your boundaries in place. You'll still have to take action. But one of the ways to cope is to focus on your worldly achievements, to focus on the legacy that you hope to leave. Now, if you're hoping to leave a legacy for your family where, mum is not so interfering, then you'll have to make action. You'll have to take action. And that will, by focusing on the legacy you want to leave the world, that will actually support you taking action. But you can also focus on your career. You can also take some time out from all this stuff happening in the home environment and focus on your work, focus on your career. You'll get a sense of momentary relief, a sense of, by directing your energy towards your career now, while this other stuff unfolds in your life. So if you want to have a little break, go to career. With Leo as the rising sign, this is putting the tension and the frustration of Mars down here in the third house. So you guys, Leo rising people, might be feeling very tense, very frustrated, a bit of with your siblings, maybe with other relatives in the family as well, uncles, aunts, etc. And you might also be feeling a bit of tension if you run a small business too. If you have a business of your own, there could be some sort of something going on there that feels a little frustrated and like things are being very irritating for you with some element of your small business as well. Can also affect, what you're doing regarding learning and teaching and writing and speaking as well. These areas could be getting a bit of a injection of frustration into them too. But the reason this is happening is to cause you to address issues in the sixth house. So, you might be having issues with your brother or your sister about a small business that you run together, and it's causing frustration and irritation, but it's actually making you address, well, how do I pay my bills? Is this the best way I can live in order to pay my bills? Is this the best, have I got the best daily routine here? Am I looking after my health, or is working with my brother or sister in this small business sending me up the wall and my health is starting to suffer now? You'll be reevaluating the behaviors, the attitudes, the way you're conducting things regarding your health, your well-being, regarding how you're paying the bills, how you're managing your daily life. As a result of the tension that's occurring here. And if you want to rise up into a better destiny with this, if you want to sort of embrace, escape essentially this tendency to being over anxious, over worrying about this situation, being too focused on the nitty-gritty details in this situation, if you want to escape all that anxiety regarding this situation, and that's where you're headed with the North Node. The North Node is to escape, to remove yourself, to get out of unpleasant situations, to leave behind having to be Mr. or Mrs. Perfect and move into being freer, more attuned to your destiny, more integrous with what your soul really wants. If you want to rise into that, then you're going to have to address these details this week as seen by the third house with all those potential illustrations that I gave you, with siblings, with relatives, with small business or teaching, writing, speaking, communicating, that sort of thing. There is the need to release this perfectionism, or release this worry and doubt and so on, sixth house stuff, and allow yourself to move into more freedom and escape from the tension. And how you can cope with this, how you can deal best with this if you're Leo rising, is actually to focus on being mentored, getting some sort of a guru. Like you might choose to I don't know, jump online and listen to a lecture by Muji or Eckhart Tolle or somebody who inspires you. Tap into your your sources of inspiration, your inspirational figures, as a way to cope. You know, find some inspiration there. Go to your spiritual gurus now, and it will help you deal with this situation. The other things you can do is, you know, you might like to just go out for dinner to an ethnic restaurant. That's something else that you can do. Or go to some sort of cultural celebration, an alternative cultural celebration, and that will help alleviate, believe it or not, the pressure that's unfolding in this realm for you. So if you happen to be Virgo rising, excuse me, if you're Virgo rising, well, this is putting the frustrated energy of Mars, the tension and the need to put energy into action in the second house. So there can be issues right now with money and finances for you guys, and also with your self-love as well, Virgo rising people. So watch your internal dialogue and the way you are talking to yourself and the way you are honoring yourself right now, because it's being kind of stirred up and you need to get back into balance with your self-love, but also money too. So there's tension with money. There might be a bit of anxiety or frustration with money. Why isn't the money coming? And, you know, when's this going to change? Well, the energy here is pointing to the fifth house. Self-expression, maybe the way you have been creatively expressing yourself, maybe the way you have been undertaking your creative endeavors and your hobbies is actually not serving you. Let's say you use a lot of creativity in your work. Maybe you, like me, you make YouTube videos, or you know, you might do some sort of social media work or something like that. And it's very creative. How you put yourself out in the world is very creative for you. But it's not generating what you need to support your life. Well, this is saying for you Virgo rising people, let's get this back in balance. And what do we need to let go of in our attitudes about presenting our creativity to the world? Maybe we need to change how we do these things. But maybe we need to change how we're presenting our creativity to the world. It might not have anything to do with work even. You know, maybe you just enjoy some little side hustle making children's clothing. It's your hobby. You love to sew. You make children's clothing. You sell it at a market. It brings you a bit of money, but somehow there's a bit of tension there. Maybe you're not making enough money to pay for your market stall or to pay for your supplies or something. So your hobby, you're questioning your hobby. And there's something about that, about your hobby, maybe also about your children and about your lovers as well, that you need to resolve, an attitude or a belief that's actually not helping you. And so it needs to be let go of now. You're going to have the energy to let go of that. And it'll be coming from perhaps an issue where there's not enough money, or the resources are not being met, or something's got to shift, something's got to change. And in addressing that, in addressing your monetary situation and how it impacts your children or your lovers or your hobbies, then you will, by releasing that, you'll be able to rise up into your destiny. And this is to be involved with social groups, to also receive rewards for your endeavors. So for you guys, I'm really feeling that you've been doing something that is just not cutting it, that's not getting you where you want to be. It might be a hobby, or it might be connection with children, or it might be something to do with a lover, and it's not helping you get where you need to be. It's not giving you the rewards and gains that you actually are seeking. It's not helping you achieve your dreams, the dreams that you're actually aspiring to create. There's something not working there. And this tension of Mars is drawing your attention to it now. Financially, it's not working, guys. I'm not achieving my goals and dreams here. Something in my creative expression has to shift. Mars will cause the change to happen, and it'll come through some sort of tense situation. If you listen to that energy and if you follow through with action, you will see a shift in the amount of rewards that you are receiving, and the gains that you've got, and the honors that you're getting, the friendship circles that you have, and your connection to big, large networks as well. Things will shift there and be blessed if you listen to your gut and take action about what is not working with children, with lovers, with hobbies and creative expression, essentially. But if the tension gets too much for you, where do you focus? What do you do? What's the remedy? Well, for you guys, it is to actually focus on self-introspection, doing a bit of therapy. You know, If things are just, the energy of Mars is just overwhelming you this week, then perhaps do a bit of kickboxing, get the anger out. If that's not your style, bit of yoga, maybe meditation. You could also do something like maybe a bit of art therapy or dance therapy, or do some kind of therapeutic self-introspective work that will help release and lift another layer off the soul, so to speak, off your inner self, for you to take a look at, and it will actually serve to release the pressure of this T square and all that it's representing materially in your life. Okay, if you happen to be Libra rising, the energy of Mars is in your first house. So for you guys, the tension is happening in your inner self, in your with regard to how you survive and thrive in the world, but also your ability to assert yourself, to put appropriate boundaries in place, to honor what you need, and to take care of you as opposed to taking care of everyone else. So there's some tension about being able to do that, and it's correlating, to the fourth house of family, heritage, roots, and lineage, and also to the 10th house of career. So a scenario might look something like this. You are getting constant expectations, and you have constant attitudes and running around in your head that are the result of your upbringing, of how you were raised, of what mum taught you to believe, and of what the family line said was appropriate. And or maybe the family, your mum or your heritage or roots or lineage is being too intrusive into your current life. And this Mars is saying, hey girl or hey guy, we need to put boundaries in place. We need to say no. We need to stop this dialogue that we're having of, oh, mum said this, and so therefore I have to live this way, and I have to behave like this, and this is what life is meant to look like, coming from our heritage, from our roots, from the beliefs we've been given as a child. And it's not serving our potential in our journey for life. And so Mars creates this tension, says we've got to get rid of these outworn ideas. We've got to get rid of these outworn beliefs that are coming from my childhood. If I want to rise up into a successful life where I achieve things in the world, where I am visible, and I can succeed in my career, and I can create a legacy that's what my heart really desires. If I want that, I have to let go of that. I have to let go of these things. And so Mars is going to help you put boundaries in place. It's going to help you take action and initiate the changes that need to be made regarding letting go of those old belief systems to help you rise up into a beautiful, powerful destiny up there in the 10th house. But if this tension for you Libra people gets too much, because as a Libra person, you will be someone who tends to want to please others, a people pleaser, and make mum and dad happy, and do it the way they suggested, and it can be very tense and confronting for you Libra people to actually honor the self and initiate something and put boundaries in place so that you get along okay in life, and that your life is working for you rather than focusing on everybody else. That can be hard for you guys. So how do you do that? In what way can you support this rather tense, frustrating energy unfolding in your life this week? Well, the answer quite simply is to get support. Call on your friends, call on your partner, call on your spouse, and make sure you've got people to back you up and help you to do what needs to be done. Like that was one scenario I gave you. There are many ways that can play out, but don't be afraid to ask others for help this week in doing what needs to be done to help you rise into your destiny. So, maybe you need to ask your spouse to cook dinner every night this week because you're going to be dealing with a certain difficult situation, or processing some kind of really difficult situation with your family, and maybe you're going to have to go around to see mum on Thursday night, and you're really scared about it, and can your partner just take care of the kids and take care of dinner this week while you deal with what you have to deal with down here? So it's just calling in the help and assistance that's available to you through friends, but also through partners, and that includes business partners as well, people who've got your back. So the next energy we want to look at is that of Scorpio, and of course we've got Mars falling in the 12th house here for Scorpio rising people. So this means there's going to be a lot of tension and frustration and difficulty with regard to you being able to focus on your spiritual pathway, with regard to your being able to express your truth as revealed to you by the divine. There might be something blocking that, or some frustration, like you can't actually share your spiritual insights with people. There's something that somebody's not happy with what you've said regarding your beliefs or your spiritual life. You might have planned to go on a holiday, and then something is frustrating that, something is blocking that. There is some kind of tension. Look, this could be coming from, for example, you maybe run a small business. Maybe you've planned. Here's a scenario. Maybe you've planned to go on a holiday and have some escape time. Mars in the 12th house, and then something crops up in your small business, or with an advertising campaign that you are running, or and you realize you're not going to be able to go on your holiday and have this holiday that you wanted, and that causes tension, it causes frustration. And so what it's actually saying to you, if that's what occurs, is, hey, I need to actually look at what I'm doing here. I need to look at, are my systems in my small business and with the way I manage my advertising or marketing projects or whatever, are these things actually working as best they could for me? What do I need to change? What do I need to let go of so that I can actually have the holiday I deserve to have? So you're being called to address these kinds of things right now. What's happening in your, maybe this house here where the South Node is has to do with teaching, it has to do with siblings and relatives, also writing, speaking and communicating, but also, like I said, small business as well. So what is happening in those realms that is not quite balanced, that's not quite harmonized, and that's holding you back from being able to have the morning meditation that you want to have, or go on the holiday that you deserve to have, or indulge in your creative connection to the divine in some way. These are 12th house things. What is happening there that you need to address? And by addressing and releasing and changing these habits and structures and systems, by addressing those things and letting go of what's not helping you, you're going to rise up into a destiny that's much nicer, that's much more about being able to inspire others and being able to teach others, and being able to be something of a mentor to others as well. So if you're involved in teaching, because this is the access for learning and teaching and so forth, if you want to be that inspirational figure, there's something blocking the way you're doing it right now. Mars is going to draw attention through the square to what's blocking you from being that inspirational figure that you long to be, through some sort of teaching and mentorship and guidance and so forth. Excuse me. So part of what you're being called to address in your future is the capacity to be an inspirational figure, or a teacher or a guru, or maybe to go overseas. This is the house of overseas travel or immersion into other cultural experiences. So with this placement here, this tension that's happening, you're wanting to go on a holiday, and maybe you wanted to go on a holiday overseas, but something's stopping you from going on a holiday overseas. You need to address these problems in order to be able to go on your holiday overseas. Hello, the connection of 12th house, 9th house, which are both connected to, holidays and other cultures. So that's just one scenario, but other belief systems, other religious practices are seen by the 9th house. This is part of what you're rising up into. Maybe you can't embrace some new spiritual belief or some new ideology or something like that, because there are problems coming from your siblings. They don't like the fact that you're interested in Buddhism, and they're making life hard for you. So you've got to let go of this connection with the siblings, and this being caused by tension from us. You've got to let go of your connection with your siblings that are very disapproving of you becoming a Buddhist and having some new belief system. So there is a couple of scenarios. I hope all the connections and links that I'm offering you are making sense, and that in some way you can see how there's a correlation to themes that are playing out in your own life. But if this tension, it's a very spiritual tension that you guys are experiencing this week, if this tension gets a bit much and is a bit overwhelming, you actually have to focus on practical things. You have to focus on your daily routine, maybe going and getting some exercise, maybe eating cleaner, eating better, eating fresh things instead of heavy foods right now. The more you focus on your health and well-being and your daily routine right now, and also perfecting the self and studying some, I don't know, doing some self-help books or listening to some people online who can inspire you to live better, live more holistically, live wiser. The more you can focus on those areas and enjoy those sorts of things right now, the tension will dissipate a lot more if you direct your energy into those realms. So if you happen to be Sagittarius rising, you've got the energy of frustration and angst and build-up of with Mars happening for you in the 11th house. So there might be some tension with friends. You might be feeling like there's just some anxiety with friends, or that things are not quite above board with friends or social groups or your usual networks that you function with. There can be some frustrations coming from that realm of life, and it's through that realm, through those frustrations, that you're going to be called to let go of some kind of belief system about yourself, because it's connecting to the South Node, which is the things we need to let go of, connecting to the South Node in the 2nd house, and the 2nd house has to do with self-worth and self-valuing, how your self-love, or actually self-love is more 5th house, the way you value yourself and the way you honor yourself is more 2nd house. So there's a tension coming from your relationships with friends and relationships to large groups of people and social clubs and organizations that you're in. This tension from Mars is causing you to address how you actually see yourself, how you value yourself. So maybe let's use a scenario. Maybe, you're in a group of friends and someone's talking nasty about you. Someone's being very aggressive towards you in your group of friends. And you're like, well, hang on. Am I really like she says I am? Do I really behave that way? And you do a bit of self-analysis and you're like, you know what? I don't behave that way. I'm not that kind of person. I need to release this friendship perhaps, because this friendship is not helping me with my self-love. Or maybe you discover the opposite. Maybe you discover, well, you know what? She's right. She's pointed out a character flaw in me that she's actually on the money. And if I want to have a better life, I think I need to let go of this character flaw. That's one way this can play out. This is also the house of resources for living. So another scenario might be that your friends are taking for granted that you are always coughing up the money for them. You go out to a party and they expect you to pay for all the drinks. Or you're renting a house with a friend and they just think that you're going to pay this is a house of money, that you're going to always pay the rent for them. And you realize that now that they're taking advantage of you, and this tension from Mars is saying, hey, I've got to change this. I've got to change this situation, because I can't go on paying my friend's rent. And that's not right. And I have to honor myself. I have to take care of myself here and change how I'm spending money. I have to change this attitude or this belief that allows her to walk all over me, or whoever my friendship group is, walking all over me with regards to the rent. So you make a change, and this is coming as a result of this tension with this T square. But it's going to help you rise up into 8th house things, which is part of the destiny point for you at the moment that you're focusing on. Essentially, this is going to be being able to manage crisis, because if you're constantly paying, in this scenario, rent for your flatmate, and they're not facing up to their responsibilities, then you are essentially creating quite a crisis for yourself. And this experience is going to teach you how to be a better crisis manager. It's also going to help you understand human nature and see more truth in people's behavior. You'll be studying it. You'll come to a greater understanding of it. So this tension that's being caused between friends, money, and self-value, and life crises and circumstances that need to be changed. 8th house, it's going into the underworld and emerging out the other side, going into a difficult situation and coming out better for it. is 8th house. All of these things will be linking up for you this week and creating a tension of some sort in your life if you're Sagittarius rising. Could also, I might just add, be rewards and gains as well, correlating to money issues and the ability to change your life. So you might be getting called to go into some sort of deep experience that is going to help you in the future regarding money and the rewards and gains that you receive. But if all this tension in financial houses and house of crisis is getting a little bit overwhelming for you this week, then the way out, the way to cope for you guys is to indulge in your hobbies. Take some time out to go and sew that pretty new dress. That's my hobby. I love sewing. Sew that beautiful dress that you've had sitting on the shelf waiting for you to get to it for ages. Go and dig in the garden. Go and... What is your 5th house? It's Aries. Oh, you're probably like going for, a jog. Maybe that's your hobby. You like to go jogging, or you do something energetically. You go and play some sport or something. Or you might, Aries is very creative, so you might be creating some sort of new technical invention, or some kind of maybe even a technical drawing, or doing some sort of creative endeavor of some sort can give you a lot of personal satisfaction right now and alleviate. It opens up that pressure valve and lets the pressure out that the T-square will be creating through the money of rewards and gains in the house of friendship and social groups, as well as money that supports your body's journey through life and crisis. So do your hobbies, enjoy hobbies, and also enjoy a bit of love, because the 5th house, which is where you're getting your relief from, is connected to love, and enjoy your children as well. So indulging in a bit of romance and a bit of pleasure with your children and family, that can actually give you a bit of a release from all the worry and the stress and the tension that Mars square to the nodes is causing. If you happen to be Capricorn, then you're having this Mars angsty tension energy falling in your 9th. No, your 10th house. Sorry, I thought that was wrong. Yeah, falling in your 10th house. So this can mean that there's a bit of tension at work, in your career, tension with a boss or an authority figure, tension with the government even. There's a problem with the government, and that's causing a lot of angst in your life. And part of what you need to address is the need to let go of your own self-assertion, and so because the South Node is here, it represents what needs to be released. You need to let go of thinking that you're always right, thinking that you are that you have to do it your way all the time, thinking that that your way is the right way, being too selfish perhaps in a certain situation, being too assertive, listening to your own impulses rather than considering what other people might need. So this is something that's got to be released. If you're having trouble at work with a boss or an authority figure, take a look at your behavior. Is it too selfish? Is it too, are you being too assertive? Are you being too fiery? Are you being a bit too dominant? And if you see that that's the case, then you'll know that's what you've got to release. If you really want to rise up into the destiny that you're being called to address right now, might not be where your North Node sits in your natal chart, but it's where the North Node's drawing your attention to at the moment. For you guys, it's going to be being more diplomatic. You're going to need to be more diplomatic in the workplace. You're going to need to be more considerate of other people and other people's opinions and other people's feelings. You're going to have to work more on win-win situations. Work on being nice rather than being dominant. And if you do that, you're going to rise into your destiny. So this is quite a straightforward kind of a situation here. If you want to succeed and rise up in the world in 10th house things, then there's going to be some angst and some tension unfolding regarding your behavior versus where you should really be directing your energy, which is to be more diplomatic and considerate. So that will be causing some issues of tension for you this week. If you are Capricorn rising, the way out of it is to retreat to home when you're feeling a bit overwhelmed with it. Enjoy being home, curl up with a book on the couch, connect with your family, connect with your loved ones, maybe do a bit of pottering around the house, bit of painting, bit of gardening, whatever needs doing, and just enjoy your home life as the antidote or the remedy to feeling tension in the workplace. So that's almost a given, isn't it? You don't really need astrology to be able to determine that. Next sign is Aquarius. So Aquarius, if you're Aquarius rising, then for you this week, tension and stress is coming from the 9th house. Your belief systems essentially are seen from the 9th house. What do you believe? What is your personal philosophy? Maybe you've been challenged with your own personal philosophy, with your own belief system, and Mars is causing you some inner tension about, well, what do I really believe? Do I align with that particular religion or not? It calls these things into question, and there's a lot of inner turmoil and tension about what you believe. Might also represent conflict, Mars's conflict with some sort of inspirational figure or somebody who is a guru or a mentor or a teacher, and you just don't align with them anymore. I mean, maybe the priest gave a sermon on Sunday and you were just like, what the? Really rubbed you the wrong way and made you Mars in the sign of Libra, the 9th house in this case for Aquarius rising. And what this is doing, it's causing you, because Mars is squaring the south node at the moment, it's causing you to direct your attention through this tension that's unfolding in the T-square. It's causing you to direct your attention to 12th house things. It's causing you to say, okay, what is my spiritual stance? Am I going to listen to the priest, or am I going to really review my own personal spirituality and stand in that? And this south node energy here might be calling you to release something and let something go regarding what you actually spiritually align with because of this tension that's unfolding. So you might be being called to really stand in your truth regarding your spirituality now and let go of old outworn habits and beliefs that no longer serve you with regard to spirituality. It can also, this south node placement can also be correlating to creative expression as well, especially the creativity that comes from the divine, or for example, you know, your belief about what you can do for the world in a spiritual sense. This is a house of spiritual healing. Maybe you've had, as an example, maybe you've had talents as a healer. Maybe you've had talents that come from the divine as a psychic, as an intuitive, as somebody who can tap into other higher realms, and you've been denying it because what you were told from early childhood, from religion, from belief, did not allow you to experience that, did not allow you to really use your psychic abilities. Oh, that's wrong, you know, or we burn those witches at the stake kind of thing. Old archaic religious beliefs, 9th house. So you've got to let go of these the spiritual beliefs and the ideas around healing, the ideas around creativity, the ideas around even our ability to retreat from the world. You know, maybe you've got an idea that we shouldn't go to ashrams, and maybe we shouldn't spend time at yoga retreats or whatever. And what this tension is saying is, hang on a minute, I've got to question whether what I've always thought about these things is right. I feel that if you do so, you'll actually be purging a lot of stuff, and it might even be big karmic stuff in the 12th house that you'll be purging as well. You might even be releasing this week stuff from past lives that you don't even know is from past lives, but that's what it might be. Belief systems that have come from past lives. Ideas about who you are that have come from past lives that have to go. And in doing so, it's going to come from this house, the 9th house of spiritual belief and religion and so forth, that you will be feeling a tension from and a need to release these 9th house, maybe religious ideas, maybe cultural beliefs as well, not just religion, but maybe the country you grew up in had certain cultural expectations and cultural beliefs that just are not serving you anymore. And in order for you to progress, you've got to release those attitudes and beliefs in order to rise up into your destiny, which for Aquarius at the moment, while the transiting North Node is moving here through Cancer, it's your 6th house. So it's very much about practical, what you can offer in a practical spiritual sense to the world. These are very spiritual houses, and it's making a T-square with these spiritual houses. So for Aquarius rising, it's really a time of addressing who you are spiritually. And the 6th house is all about our practical service to the world. So, you might be considering how can I serve? How can I heal? Now, I used the illustration before about healing. And in the 12th house, maybe you are a gifted psychic, and you've got to release the religious overtones to what you were taught that are holding you back from being able to be a good psychic and rise up into your destiny of helping people through your healing abilities. This house is about helping people, fixing problems, solving issues. And part of your destiny at the moment with the North Node, if you're Aquarius rising, part of your destiny is to resolve problems in your life, resolve and fix issues in your life, and also to help and resolve problems and issues in other people's lives. And I gave this illustration, healing. Maybe it's a perfect illustration. I'm really quite glad that popped into my head. But maybe you've got capacity for a gifted healer. The spiritual beliefs that you've been brought up with are holding you back from doing so, but you've got to release that. South Node here is to release those beliefs in order to rise up into being able to serve and help and fix problems for others and help the world, essentially, to be the servant of the world, the greater good. This is the house of the priestess in very ancient times, and also the good priest, as opposed to the one who's telling you bullshit from the pulpit. So it's the good priest down here. So this is part of the tension that will be, unfolding for you this week, that you'll be experiencing either in material reality or within you. And the way out, the way to cope with this, the way to sort of manage this is actually maybe to connect with siblings, maybe to reach out to relatives and have some chats with relatives about these sorts of things and about their interpretation of things and their wisdom with things. It's also writing, speaking, reading, learning new things. So you can actually incorporate perhaps learning about new spiritual insights and getting new spiritual wisdom by reading a book or by watching some sort of social media on these topics, that you might actually be able to really alleviate the pressure that's coming from this kind of scenario. So get into it, explore, read, learn, chat with others, do some networking, and reach out now, because you will find that this helps you very much in the future to really stand in the truth of your beliefs if you are Aquarius rising. Finally, my patient, beautiful, much adored Pisces rising people. I love you. I love us, I should say. So for you guys, for we guys, Mars falls in our 8th house. Crisis, the house of crisis, the house of big change, big life change. So we are getting a lot of, we might even be getting, I'm just thinking about what's unfolding in my life at the moment. We might be getting a lot of insights from spiritual realms right now. That's really stirring things up and changing things. A lot of I really want to tell you a story that happened to me this week. I can't though. But we might be getting some sort of miraculous, almost like spiritual input into our life, because this is a house of psychic intuition. It's a house that's connected to sort of the occult. So any occult practices now, if you're Pisces rising, you might notice that somebody who practices some sort of occult something or other, some sort of energy healing or mediumship or channeling or some sort of occult activity that occurs this week. You might have some contact with someone who practices those sorts of things this week. And what it's doing is causing this energetic tension to unfold in your life, where you will be releasing something that doesn't serve you. Now, in this case, the South Node for Pisces people is falling in the 11th house. The 11th house is large groups of people, and it's also friendships. and it's also connected to the rewards and gains that you expect to receive in life. So through this experience of maybe the occult, or maybe doing some psychological exploration as well, as seen by the 8th house, maybe experiencing some sort of little crisis as well, and probably not going to be some sort of monster crisis like you have to have your leg amputated or something like that, but some sort of little inner crisis, inner challenge, inner confrontation that occurs within you might unfold, that causes you to have to release your association with some sort of group of people, or with a friend. Maybe some friendship has to go because you have this inner knowledge, inner knowing. Maybe someone gave you a bit of insight about a person that you didn't realize, and you've got to release that person. You've got to let go of that person. Or it might be it might be not the person, but might be releasing your understanding about a particular group of people, or the way you perceive a particular friend might be altered because of a personal crisis, or because of a connection with some sort of occult practice, or getting some insight from some sort of wise, witchy kind of person. This can happen if you're Pisces rising, and because you do so, you might release a belief system about what you deserve in life to receive. You might release a friendship, or you might release a belief about a group of people or a group of friends or something. That's going to enable you, that releasing is going to enable you to rise up into your 5th house, which might be love, which might be connection with your children. It might, this 5th house might be creative self-expression is enhanced because of this little mini crisis that's unfolded in your life. And so you might find that this week helps you through some sort of tension, through some sort of anxious situation, helps you rise up into more self-love, more self-knowledge, embracing of who you are, more self-expression, creative expression as well, more love in your life. This is the house of love. And so for you guys, this whole cycle of T-square here, plus the activation of the 10th degree, it really stands to bring more love into your life. This is the house of love, self-love, love for children, love for partners, love for the joys and happiness of life. It's a house of joys. So you guys, I feel, or we guys, quite delightedly stand to be probably most blessed by this, because our destiny that we're dealing with at the moment has to do with all this lovely happiness represented by the beautiful 5th house. So, don't be afraid of the tension and the confrontation that this Mars in the 8th house might bring, and the need to release some of these outworn ideas and structures and some friendships even as well, because it's going to lead you, if you trust your heart and trust where the energy is pushing you, going with the flow like we Pisces know how to do, you will actually be able to rise up into quite a nice destiny. Now, the tension that this brings, though, might cause a bit of a struggle. How do you cope with this? How do you deal with the tension this week? I want to encourage you to indulge in some pleasurable activities. Quite simply, you guys have got it going on in terms of how to cope with this energy the best. I'm really lucky. I'm going to get a chance to go to the beach for a couple of days. So I'm going to indulge in that pleasure, that niceness, and that will sort of alleviate and help resolve some of the tension and stress that Mars might be bringing through this activity in the 8th house. But you might like to go out for dinner, or you might like to go to an art gallery, or you might go to, I don't know, maybe like going to the movies or something, but do something pleasurable, something that you enjoy. Even, it doesn't have to cost money. Even sitting out in the backyard with a beautiful cup of ginger tea or something, and just watching the birds and being at one with nature. Go for a bushwalk, go to a waterfall or something. Enjoy life as much as you can this week, and it will take the tension out of any situations with friends or groups of people that need to be released. So that is the solution, and the most pleasurable one if you happen to be Pisces rising this week. So that is the energy at play for all signs. Thanks so much for joining me this week. Don't forget that it's a great time now to purchase a reading for someone for Christmas and get a gift voucher for that. Or if you're interested in my Astro Wheel, it is $50 off for the next 3 weeks. So get on it, guys. And I want to thank you once again for your patience with me while I recovered from my illness over the last 4 to 5 weeks. Thank you one and all, and we might close with a prayer. I like to do that. So let's do that now, and then we'll sign off. Energy of love in the universe, we thank you that even through tension and difficulty, that we can push forward and evolve and grow. And I thank you that that's what we're being called to do in the weeks ahead. Make our eyes open to what we need to do to progress, to release things. Show us to our true self, our true nature, and the things that are not serving us. Reveal those things to us so that we can rise up and flow with the energies of the universe in the best possible way. And so it is. Thanks once again for joining me, and I will catch you next week.